I today, I've seen that there's so many people that have just recently joined me, and I had a conversation with some, well, kind of new friends of mine, that have listened to the show, and so I thank you so much for your support. Those that have come up to me or sent me messages or reached out on social media, thank you. Um, I think it's been about a year now. It's about to be about a little bit of close to a year of being on the air, and I just realized that I have not done a update on just who I am, and most people kind of don't know my background. So I figured, why today should be one of those days where I give a little bit more of an introduction so that you kind of know a little bit about me. And for you new folks, where I started and why, number one, homeownership is just so such a passion of mine, and why I do it, and the start of it. So let's take it back to the beginning. So I didn't always want to be a realtor. I didn't even know about real estate. I got introduced to the industry via 2001, where there was literally a newspaper clipping that my father had printed out for me, because at the time, I had went to college and that didn't work out. I came back over here to California. I went to Howard University for about 2 to 3 years. And, life had a different path for me. I came back over to California and kind of didn't know where I wanted to, what I wanted to do. At the same time of me finding out what I wanted to do, I also got radically saved, born again in 2001. So my journey kind of parallels each other, my journey in carpentry, and also my journey in just my walk with Christ, to be honest with you. So 2001 happens. I get a call, not really a call, but I go to I know it's an event that they were having for women. They needed more women to come and do the apprenticeship program, and to kind of join the United Brotherhood of Carpenters and Joiners of San Jose in Union 405. And I took a chance on something that I knew I loved working with my hands, but I had no clue what carpentry would entail. But I knew that it was probably something that I'd like to do. And plus, my dad had mentioned, hey, why don't you try to check this out? And upon going, I fell in love with it. I started off on actually one of the more harder job projects. It was going to do bridge building at the time, and bridge building, I mean, that's huge. So we're looking at different overpasses. We're looking at the widening of roads, and with overpasses, how they're built, like these really long concrete kind of towers in a sense, columns. They're driven all the way down in the 25 feet or more down in the ground, and then they fill it back up with soil. And so you never see that part, but it's the foundation part. So I've been working on that for a little bit, and that's how I started. Then from there, did a whole lot of classrooms, and I did churches too. I would go to missionary trips to Tijuana, to Mexico, and I would build homes for the homeless, and then also orphanages and churches over there. And I love the idea of home ownership. And I eventually ended over here in my career doing cabinet installation for Pulte homes. And that was a beautiful time as well, because I was able to just look at new construction and just admire the work that was being done, and just really kind of keep to myself, but then just keep praying, like, God, one of these days I'm going to own a brand new home myself. And and anyone that knows my story, that's like, yeah, you ended up doing that. Two of them, as a matter of fact, and they were both Pulte homes. Anyways, so going in, I did a lot of those, and it was in Mexico that I said, I really love the idea of being able to help someone in their life, like the change that we were able to do to someone's life by handing them over the keys. There's nothing like that feeling. And I wanted to take that feeling, and I said, I want this feeling, because I want to to bottle it up, and I want to have this feeling as a career. Like, what can I do to keep this feeling? And at the time, my aunt, she was over there in Tracy, California, so San Joaquin Valley. And I packed up my stuff. This is pre-kids, pre-babies, all that, pre-babies, pre-husband, all that stuff. And I packed my stuff up and I went over to Tracy to learn the business. Started off as a notary, Republic, but then I ended up getting my license, did a lot of transaction coordination, did some things in loans as well, but ultimately ended up in real estate. And it was one of the hardest times of real estate because it was like 2000, got my license about 2004, 2005. And so it was a height, of the market at that time, but then it height, and then it just dipped because then there was a lot of short sales that happened and went on. And, my own journey as well with short sales, had to short sell 2 of my properties just because I did not, the loans that, that we're having at that time, it was just horrible. And so I got caught up in that. Husband and I did too, ended up getting married, but we ended up losing homes. And, when you go through things in life, you kind of think at the time, like, okay, why me? Why me? Like, this sucks. Like, I'm, just getting my stride and, getting married and everything. And I'm losing these homes. This is not okay. So fast forward, San Joaquin Valley, we moved from that area, we move over to the East Bay. And so we're kind of more in like the Newark, Fremont area. I start working out there again. And that's how I know a lot of the Alameda County. That's where a lot of my territory is out there because I love Alameda County, the Hayward, San Lorenzo, San Leandro, Oakland area. So Alameda County became where I started to work. And I was there for a good several years until I got recruited to go and open up a brokerage called EQ1, Equity One Real Estate, with Mike Bowie over in San Jose, California, which is interesting, which is full circle because I'm from San Jose. And so opening up a brokerage there with 6 other agents, that was like one of the biggest life-changing moves, aside from getting married, I think, and then having kids, right? But one of the best decisions that we did make, and one of the best decisions I made for my career. But doing that, it just allowed me to break out of my own mind as well, because I'm thinking like, okay, going back to San Jose, I was comfortable in Alameda County, but Santa Clara County is a whole new different type of person, people. Like, I don't even know if I'll be able to get business out there. It was just a lot of mindsets, mental mindsets that I was completely wrong about. So I'm so glad that I broke through those things. And hopefully that's for someone too. Like the very thing that you're probably scared of is the very thing you probably need to run to. The very thing that you have to hopefully get out of your head. And then once you finally see on the other side, like, oh, I was scared for no reason. Why was I even scared about this? And then you eventually see that it was probably the best thing that you did in order to kind of break out of that fear, to break out of that uncomfortable spot and, pursue your goals. And since then, many doors have opened, and I've just God move in so many ways, in so many miraculous ways. And, so from there, I did a little bit on, when they talk about faith in home buying, and even just why I started, doing this, this podcast, this why. And it wasn't until recently, I think my pastor in 2017 is Pastor Adam Smallcomb and Pastor Kira Smallcomb out of Vive Church Palo Alto, and then the campus pastors, Pastor Michelle and Pastor Luke, shout out. But it wasn't until Pastor Adam had mentioned anything about home ownership and saying that, about properties, because people kept leaving, they kept moving out of the state. And I'm thinking, why are they doing this? Like, as Christians, like, you're supposed to be, look, name it and claim it. Lord, yes, we're going to stay here, and having the faith to believe that, home ownership is a possibility. And so when he kept saying that, I said, you know what? Well, then God, then how are they going to know? Like, maybe they just need to be taught faith. Hence, I started Faith in Home Buying. And, during the pandemic that was giving classes and courses on just faith alone, and then like the practical steps that you do. The whole goal was to activate faith, was to educate you about the process. And then hopefully, empower you to make the decision to go get a pre-approval. And by faith, seeing where God's going to meet you at by you moving. And it's been amazing because I've been able to see at least over, we started it with Five Church, and I've done little things here and there with other community places. And, so far, I think over the past 2 years, we've helped, at least, 30 to 60 clients, throughout, whether I did directly or indirectly or referral or other states, helping them achieve home ownership when they didn't think it was a possibility or a reality, and have had some major miracle stories happen just based off of faith alone. And those are the things I like to share. And so every now and then I will share those. And that's one of the reasons why it's so important to me to share those stories, because like the Bible says, we overcome by the word of the Lamb, the blood of the Lamb, and the word of our testimony. And it's the truth. And when I speak about those things, I'm hoping that it sparks somebody's faith to understand that your situation is not unique in a sense that no one's probably went through it, but granted, the chain of events is probably unique, but a lot of times the uniqueness, you'd be surprised that you share it with a lot of other people. And so hopefully the things that I share, the people that I come on, the people that I bring on, it provides a platform for people to hear and listen to those that have conquered fear, that have conquered, just budgeting, different things inside their life. And not to say that the end all is home ownership, but it's nice to know that the kingdom of God is being planted in places so that growth can happen and growth can take place, not only in just our community, but for the kingdom. And we all know that it does make a difference when you have a solid foundation and a solid home that you can call home, and you don't have to worry about uprooting and planting somewhere else for families. And so that's in a nutshell kind of why. But in the next half, I'll go over a little bit more with what I'm doing. There's so many things for the past year that I'm doing that I would love you to be a part of, that I'd love you to just tune into. And it all has to do majority with social media, but it definitely is a lot of different outlets that you can reach me on, and a lot of different outlets. I do different things with different outlets. So stand by. This is Tamika Ellsworth, Faith in Home Buying, equipping people of faith for the home buying process. And I'll be speaking to you in a sec. Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to our second half of Faith in Home Buying. I, again, was kind of going through a little journey. I figured, hey, there's a lot of new folks that probably either are listening that I've spoken to, not necessarily on the air, but they've DM me or caught me on Facebook or Instagram. But I figured, let me give a little bit of insight as to why I do what I do and who I am. And I have a lot of other platforms that I'm on, and I'd love to connect. And so I'm taking this time just to let you know a little bit about what's in my world and what new is coming up, and so that you can connect to me on other platforms, social media platforms at that. But just to clearly kind of wrap up just who I am and what I do. Faith in Home Buying, again, that's one of the reasons why this whole thing is even started, on the radio. I figured, let me bring a lot of what I do, let me bring it to like the masses in a different way. And I chose radio because most people are like, oh, radio's going out. But I said, no, you know what? There are people that if they listen to podcasts, they listen to radio too. And I'm so glad that I made that choice to join up with KFAX and do what it is I do, because I've met some great people. I have had some great interactions and even transactions from it. So thank you for your support again. But aside from that, I did specialize, and I specifically went to specialize as a realtor for accredited buyers, being a accredited buyer's representative. So I wanted to represent buyers, and I wanted to specialize in that particular niche. And I also did VA loans, so military relocation professional and a MilRes professional. That to me was near and dear to my heart, because my family, my brothers, my uncles, my father, everybody pretty much was military. But I just found that they didn't know what benefits that they had. And I figured, well, if they don't know, that means other people know. So I would do workshops having VA workshops. And those were actually really, really a blessing. We've had a lot of people that went through the workshops, get their credit together, utilize their VA benefits, and now they're homeowners. So that's been great and amazing experiences too, just to have a niche niche in what it is that I do. Back in the day, I wish I could do more of it, but I did a lot of teaching too, like with Habitat for Humanity, Peninsula Habitat for Humanity, women's builds. I hope to do that a little bit more in the future, just to teach women how to use power tools. And, we got together and build a home for a family. Those type of things I love to do, and especially dealing with community. And so community is one of the things that I do a lot of. Number one, with my church, my church community, I talked about that, Vibe Church, that's huge in serving and volunteering. But I also am president of it's a Black women's investment group. So right now our first project is in Chicago, and we are looking to continue throughout the community and revitalize however we can the homes that are in those communities, and bring in different resources for those in the community to buy in the community and to stay inside the community, fixing the homes up and kind of changing it from just a different perspective, but doing our part in order to try to change things. And so there's a lot of us women, like about 8 of us, are from different states, and we come together in order to just invest and do those things. So I'm pretty excited. That project's almost done, but yeah, my community outreach is not just here in the area, it really is in other states as well. I'm also an investor myself, and so investing in other areas, and hopefully taking on different slumlords that are just not doing the things that they're supposed to, and taking these homes and making them livable for people. That's another thing that I'm pretty passionate about, and I do that with my husband. And so far that's been just an amazing experience. And a lot of our properties are over in the Milwaukee area, and that's just been a really great introduction to investments in a different, in a different light. Of course, there's you invest and you do things just for generational wealth and growth, yes, but there also is another component to it, like how well do or can you landlord, how well can you I think affect a community in the way of homeownership, even by renting. So that's one of the other things to do community-wise that I'm a part of. But I also, social media is a huge thing. So radio, obviously, KFAX is huge. But one of the things that I hope that, even as listeners, that that social media is huge for me. And I do a lot with, my Instagram account. You can find me there. It's my first and last name, Tamika Ellsworth, and that's 2 L's, ELLSWORTH. You can find me on Instagram. I do a lot of stories. I do a lot of Insight, IGTV, Reels. I do a lot of just a lot of content, a lot of material, so you can get to know more of my personality and who I am. I also am a big component and a big advocate of celebrating my clients. And so in a lot of these outlets, Facebook, I have a Facebook business page, and even a personal Facebook, Instagram, specifically for TikTok. I take that platform and I flipped it in doing things that people really weren't doing. I mean, they're trying to, now it's a little different now, because now everything is kind of on, on social media, but I've taken it and I've changed the way that I utilize, and most people in my industry utilize that particular outlet. And for me, it's a celebration of my clients. And so you'll find stories, and you'll find, really, really just beautiful pictures of my clients and the way that I celebrate them. We probably will do a TikTok. There's a lot of things that we do in order to make it fun and to show the stories. There's so many amazing stories. And I figure that the more I can get it out, like I've talked about in my last segment, the more that I get it out, the stories that you see, the more I believe that it sparks the ability for someone to see not themselves in someone else, in someone else's story. And a lot of my clients, they go in and, obstacles happen, but it gets overcome, and I think when people have a lot of reservations about certain things, that's just because they haven't heard stories about it. People always want to give the, hey, we did this, we got the house, but there was so much that happened in between that needs to be shared. So people won't be so scared of the process and understand that, hey, you know what, they went through it, God got them through it, he's going to get me through it. And that's usually what happens. And then also, so I have a thing called Red Bull Magic that I do on my social media platforms. And so on TikTok, you can catch me there. I'd love to, just kind of get some new friends on there. My name on there is Real Estate, REAL, Real Estate _ and the letter T. So that's one of my favorite outlets that I use for social media. I use that. I'm on there quite a bit, and I do lives with a lot of my lender friends. Having this platform, me being able to interview my clients is just huge, and so you'll get a lot of that on here on the radio, or whether it be on a podcast or a live. Because I love people sharing their stories, and I also too. You'll find that I'll have a lot of my friends and my guests that come on, and they will speak about, be the industry or financing or different things that relate and pertain to home ownership. So trying to get creative with that. Like I even had someone talking about plants and how that can change the landscape of your home, and the freshness and the air quality, all that stuff. And so that, it's just really, really cool stuff. So you'll find that, especially if you're new, just kind of tune in. I have some things lined up and planned, coming into this year, into next year, that I'm going to do differently. But ultimately, it's more information. It's more love and attention to my clients. And it's the very thing that to me is the core of who I am. That's the core of, being able to share someone's win. We always talk about our wins, but, I love sharing other people's wins. And so, like I said, Facebook, you can catch me there. You can also catch me on LinkedIn. I've been doing a little bit more with LinkedIn. I need to get better with LinkedIn. But also on LinkedIn, you can catch me there. It's still my first and last name, Tamika Ellsworth. Then I do have a website. I have two websites. One is the Ellsworth Group, RE.com. That's going to be probably a little bit more what I'm going to be moving to, but I do also have Tamika Ellsworth.com, and you can catch me there. That's Tamika. That's how you spell my name, Tamika, and the last name Ellsworth, ELLS in Sam, WORTH.com. And you can find a lot of information on there as well, from resume to different homes, because I do sell homes, different homes that I sell, and different MLSs that you can actually look up homes on. So that's what in a nutshell, and just kind of wrapping things up. I know it's a whole lot, so hopefully you can listen to the previous one, but I just wanted to make sure I at least kind of catch everybody up to speed on what it is that I have been doing, who I am, and why I do this. I hope that those that are listening to this, and if you ever wanted to reach out or on the fence for home ownership, that you call me. I could be reached at 408-561-7922. Again, that's 408-561-7922. And reaching out is okay. Or if, you go onto my website, you want to, submit something there too. But, I love talking to people about, how I can be of assistance, especially for their home owning journey. And if you're on the fence, I'd love to help you. And if you're ready to go, hey, I'd love to work with you. And if you're in a different state or looking to do, let me know too. I have a great network of people that I can connect you with, and lenders that I love and I trust, that I know will give you the best, rate, and just give you the best experience. So I'm a one-stop shop in a lot of ways. And, again, I couldn't do this without the support of the many people that do believe in me, and they believe in what I can do and accomplish. And I feel honored to be the kind of a conduit a lot for someone's miracle, especially in home ownership. So that's me in a nutshell. I thank you so much for listening and tuning in. Next week, I'll catch up with you, and maybe I'll have a guest. Maybe I've closed a lot of great deals with a lot of great families, so I'm hoping that their schedule works out. But other than that, thank you so much. Have a blessed day, and we will be back, and I'll be speaking to you next week. God bless.